Alright, boys, so we're doing an ASMR late date. No, I'm just kidding. Dude, we are gonna start off with the calf raise, but I have to pee so bad. You guys do not understand. I'm the only one suffering, and you guys get to probably laugh at me while I'm making this video. But anyway, you can't see. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. Doing the full stack. Try to go for, I don't know, as many reps as I can with good form. Focus on a deep stretch.
The deep stretch.
Alright, boys, just like Dr. Mike mentioned, the deep stretch is important. I think that it's especially important in some contexts, not as much in others. Calves is definitely a muscle group that you want to make sure you're getting a giant stretch on, simply due to the fact that the calves have best leverage to produce force in the lengthened position. So I would recommend pausing for like 5 seconds at the bottom if you can, because that's where your calves are going to be benefiting from most. This is reflected in apparently a lot of studies. I'm not going to cite them because, guys, I'm not a super giant brain guy, right? I'm just sitting here doing what I think works and what has worked for me personally, and just talking about, okay, if you guys are plateaued and you haven't been able to grow your calves, here's a technique you could try. All right, this is a super goofy angle. One more set of this. Alright, I hope you guys can forgive me for speeding up the calf raises. These bore the crap out of me, so I figure they probably bore you too. This is the second set, that's all I did, and yeah, we're moving on. Alright, boys. We're gonna go super heavy on the adductor. I'm gonna gym pin it up. Gonna have the older brother help me hold the weight on, because the weight is just too freaking heavy. Well, no, not really. It's just the pin slips out because it's not big enough. I ordered a king pin, which is the bigger version. That'll fit better into these machines without slipping. Anyway, let's go. Alright, the warm-ups feel pretty light today, boys. Look who it is. My boy Matt, my sugar daddy. Joe. Alright, testing. Where's the microphone? I think I'm speaking right into it. Anyway, I'm going super heavy on the adductor. I do notice I'm getting a little bit weaker on this as the weeks go by, and I think that's because I have, despite the fact that I've been inconsistently in a deficit, I've still been in a deficit, and I have been losing a little bit of weight here and there. So with that said, I dialed in the cut way more, started eating way less as of like the past week. So hopefully, we're going to start getting leaner. Obviously, I'm not trying to lose strength. It's just part of the process whenever you enter into large deficits. But, yeah. Better. All right, boys. So we're doing the hip abduction. I really enjoy this machine, to be honest. It's a little bit weird because I feel like it's meant for taller people, and I'll explain why in a bit. In real life, like, this is real life, but, like, you guys are going to see it in real time when I record this video. Anyway, you get my point. I love this machine. Hugely beneficial for the glutes. And I'm just going to keep throwing word salad at you until I'm done with my set.
We'll do one more set.
You know, a wise man once said, if you ain't full stacking, you're just lacking. And that wise man is actually just me right now. And to be honest, guys, as much as that seems like such a goofy thing to say, and like gimmicky, it's kind of true. It should be a good goal for some of you out there to be able to full stack these things eventually, and I think it'll improve your everyday life, whether or not your glutes become giant or your, inner thighs become freaking like strided and strong and powerful. You're still going to see some benefits with being able to do the full stack. With that said, again, not a shame related issue. Just more so a goal that I think everybody should have, even people who aren't trying to become huge.
Again. The belt. Okay, come on. Joe, have you ever seen the Turkish Ice Cream Man?
The Turkish Ice Cream Man?
Yes, and they do tricks, like they're about to give it to you, and then they like do some flip or...
Oh, yeah, they did with the cotton candy.
That's literally what you just did.
Cotton candy.
Yeah.
You guys might be thinking, why do you use a belt? Max, why are you trying to be so safe? It's because I'm trying to be safe. So we move on to the heated, not the heated hamstring curl, the seated hamstring curl, boys. The seated hamstring curl is pretty awesome for a number of reasons. It just feels really smooth. Like, you just gotta try it, you know. I really feel my hamstrings in this movement. Not that mind-muscle connection is, the sole cause of growth, or that it's some amazing technique, but it definitely is nice to just feel the muscle more.
I have to take pictures or some sort of video of all the adjustments I have because these are like perfect.
Sex.
Alright, so I'm going to quiz myself and you guys here. The hamstrings have 3 distinct parts: the semitendinosus, the semimembranosus, and the biceps femoris, okay? Part of the biceps femoris is the short head. There's a long head and a short head, blah, blah, blah. You get it. And the short head, the cool thing about it is that it does not get targeted during hinges, which I guess is kind of the annoying thing about it. So that is the only head that does not get targeted during
Deep stretch.
No, Dr. Mike, not the deep stretch. I'm talking about hinges, okay? So you got to make sure you include a hamstring curl in your program if you want maximum hamstring development.
All right, boys. I think this is a solid range of motion to work with. We have about, it looks like 1.5 foot.
The gym isn't a place to mess around, brother.
All right, I'm gonna do 230 pounds on the dot because you guys might be thinking, I don't know what you might be thinking, to be honest. We're gonna do 230 pounds. I'm gonna try to get way more control this week. I think I did 260 last time. It was not that pretty. Hopefully this will look good and that the form will be great.
Alright, so I actually just tweaked my left knee. Every rep felt really crunchy, crispy. Definitely not good. But I was trying to match the reps here. I ended up getting 4. I got 3 on the left, which is fine, so I got an extra one here. But I definitely left some reps in reserve anyway.
I tweaked my left knee a little bit. Something went off, so I definitely stopped shy of failure. Glad I did that, but hopefully my knee will feel better for the next session.
¿Quieres?
Leg pump, kind of interesting. I mean, I had some carbs before I came here, but it's definitely nothing too crazy. We're just gonna show off the pump quickly. Yeah, let's go.
Alright, to summarize today's workout, I would say it was actually pretty fantastic. I enjoyed it, to say the least. And, with this lower volume, higher frequency approach, this upper-lower thing I got going on, I gotta say, the pumps are so lacking. Yes, it can feel good, and it is a pump, and at the end of the day, any pump is probably going to feel pretty good, but they could be so much better. I mean, I remember when I used to chug syrup and have Pop-Tarts and all sorts of crazy stuff, like, every day before my workouts, and I would try to get in, 200, sometimes even, 300 grams of carbs, and, you really don't need to do that at all. But I think it helped to some extent. I'm not sure exactly to what extent and where I was experiencing diminishing returns, but it definitely increased the pump, and when I did high reps combined with that, woo, it was crazy. But guys, you gotta remember, we're trying to put on size. We're not trying to put on the pump. And despite what a lot of your favorite bodybuilders might say, the pump doesn't cause any actual muscle growth. The burn doesn't cause muscle growth. Any of that. There's a lot of gimmicks that have been going around for so long that are just extremely unsupported by any sort of science, more so just anecdote. And, it's time for those myths to die, man. I just want to get to what works. And what works tends to be training with a close proximity to failure. And it always has been. There's nothing else to it. There's no magic about it. All it is just, hey, how hard am I training, right? And obviously, there's even diminishing returns on that, right? I don't have to train like Tom Platz to make gains, and if I train like him, I'm probably going to generate so much fatigue I won't be able to make gains, right? But there's a lot of factors that allow different individuals to make gains despite a lot of their different methods. And from what we know, you only achieve full motor unit recruitment during about the last 5 reps, which are the reps that really matter. And if you get to those sooner by avoiding higher reps, you should be good to go. That's one of my buddies here at the gym. Dude is an absolute beast. I mean, his shape is just crazy. Every time I walk up to him, it's like I'm looking at like something that's 3D printed, dude. I mean, you could tell the dude definitely competes. I mean, I know he does, but before I even knew he did, like, you can tell. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back to what I was saying. I think your training method matters way more as a natural because you only have one way to actually gain muscle, and that's by training, right? Whereas when you're on gear, you get a separate stimulus from that gear. So a lot of times people will kind of act like the gear itself transforms the way your body responds to training, and that is somewhat of like a main thing, right? I don't disagree that it probably changes in some way, shape, or form the way your body responds to the training, but I don't think that is the mechanism of hypertrophy once you're on gear. I think that it is a separate entire mechanism that causes hypertrophy a separate way, rather than, just hard training in itself. And so that's why a lot of these guys with really unconventional, weird training methods can get very huge, because your response to the gear ultimately determines how big you're going to get. And when Ronnie Coleman was natural, he was an absolute freak, right? And people speculated that he was on, but he gained another 100 pounds of muscle after the fact, right? So with that said, what do you think gained him the extra 100 pounds of muscle? I don't think that it was due to the fact that that gear is somehow a recovery booster or, a fatigue eliminator or something like that. I actually think that gear would probably increase your fatigue more since you have more muscle to control. And, there's no evidence to support that gear would increase your recovery time between training sessions. Like, if I train really hard, right, and I'm on gear, I'm still going to have to rest the same amount as a natty guy who is in the same stage of training, right? So I think it's the fact that gear gives you a separate stimulus that actually allowed Ronnie Coleman to get as big as he was. It's not because he could train more efficiently because of the gear. It's because the gear itself has a separate mechanism for hypertrophy and was able to add tissue on its own. I don't know this is a fact, but it just makes a lot more sense, and I have heard some reputable people address it, so I'm going to go with that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys on Thursday.